I saw the news bite of the Pakistani senator, and she's saying that Pakistan has been a victim and, in fact, has been fighting terrorism. Well, Pakistan fighting against terrorism is a bit like Taliban fighting against misogyny, or communists fighting against state control, or indeed Congress fighting against corruption. I mean, these guys are the epicenter of terror. I mean, just a couple of questions. Where is Dawood Ibrahim right now? And when we bomb Bahawalpur, what did we actually bomb? We bombed the epicenter of Jaish-e-Mohammed's whole activities. And this is the state, the country where terrorism was born and terrorism prospers. For them to say that they are fighting against it is just, baloney. But I have to agree with the respected ambassador, because, and you as well, because the world is buying into Pakistan, which is, it's perplexing, because just a week ago, Pakistan was appointed by the United Nations Security Council on a terror body. I mean, this is unbelievable. But a couple of things that are also important. The world may say or do anything that it wants in favor of Pakistan, or may turn a blind eye. The important part is we don't care anymore. And I think that's absolutely crucial. Please remember that in the wake of 26/11, when we wanted to bomb the terror hideouts, we were prevented by this so-called nuclear bluff, and we kind of did not bomb the terror hideouts. In fact, quite the opposite. We not only acceded to Pakistan, including our name in that Baluchistan thing, we won't foment trouble, the infamous, shall I say, Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. We also made it the most favored nation. And it happened, it continued for years. Not anymore. Not only have we put an abeyance on the Indus Water Treaty, which going forward is the lever, is the absolute lever by which we can actually turn on and turn off and control Pakistan, whatever it says, and keep to its word that it is actually fighting against terror, which I don't believe it is.
All right.
Secondly, the new doctrine that any act of terror is going to be an act of war is a direct attack on whatever Pakistan may foment. So I think whatever the world might say or do for their own ulterior motives, and please remember, we don't have very many friends. I mean, they're in the world of real politics. Even America is not our friend. So the America might want to have its own geopolitical control over how Pakistan it sees Pakistan. We don't care anymore, and that is the most important.
No, I totally agree with you over there. Shalini, I'm sure you and Ambassador Shank would also agree that this seems to have now become India's lone fight. And when I say that, it's also important for India to expose the hypocrisy of Pakistan, rather the hogwash that's being maintained so far. Remember, as far as Sajid Mir's case is concerned, Yalda also talks about it. First, Pakistan declared him dead. It was only after the pressure of FATF gripped the country that they arrested him. We all know the kind of treatment that Hafiz Saeed receives. You have photographs all over the internet where you can see he's being shot with rose petals on his way to the Lahore court. He's in fact living in Lahore under tight security in a densely populated residential locality.
No, you're quite right. And I think both Shalini ji and the ambassador have made excellent points. But, let me say, 5 years ago, I would not only have agreed with them and you, I would also have been worried and perplexed as to why India keeps losing the narrative war. But today, I am the least bothered. Let me take 30 seconds to explain why. And I think this is where we are absolutely decisive. Because believe it or not, we are never going to win the narrative war. Just give you one example. You look at the world has seen, and Shalini ji took the example of Osama bin Laden. That happened 10 years ago. Dawood Ibrahim is there. Hafiz said it is a terror hub. Despite that, when United Nations, seeing that Pakistan is a terror hub, appoints it an anti-terrorism body, when you have the IMF and other world banking systems giving Pakistan loan, what does it tell you? That means no amount of truth is going to deter the world from executing, or the powers that be from executing their real policies. Be that as it may. Today, we are least bothered about it. And two examples shine out. Number one, the fact that after the Russia-Ukraine war, when the entire West did not want us, in fact, were telling us that we are going to impose sanctions on you if you were to buy Russian oil, we said we don't care two hoots. We are going to do whatever it is in our interest. And that is why we went ahead. And this one, when we have actually bombed the terror hideouts and 11 air bases of Pakistan without blinking an eye to whatever the world might say or the world opinion might be. I think so now, let us be like, for example, Israel. You know what the world opinion is against Israel for the last 2 years. Does it care about it?
True.
No, because it knows the vested interests are the ones that are going to, drive the world narrative. If we have to stand up for our interest, we should not care about the narrative.
And at the same time, let's not forget that Turkey's backing is now going beyond just ideological backing, because if it was limited to ideological backing, that was very much with Pakistan or say Bangladesh, especially when it comes to OIC nations. But they've stood steadfast by India like a rock when it comes to condemning terrorism, something that Turkey has not done. In fact, it's now going beyond ideological backing, which is coming up with financial backing for countries not just like Pakistan, even Bangladesh.
No, and also you're quite right. But let's remember that back in 1971, all our Arab friends, all 21 of them, actually roundly stood against us and stood with Pakistan. Even our so-called dearest ally, Egypt. And who came to our aid? Israel. So the fact of the matter is, when push comes to shove, we have to be prepared that this is not a battle that can be won very easily, very quickly. And why do I say this? And that is the reason why I think Indus Water Treaty and us keeping it in abeyance is a leash that we must always have, because Pakistan, let's be honest about it, has a visceral hatred to India. And that hatred is totally ideological. I mean, they hate Hinduism and Hindus, and that is the reason why, let's be very honest about it. Why else do you think that all their terror outfits, or the ones that they, propose and then prosper, are all named on, hark back to the glory of Islam, Jaish-e-Muhammad, the army of Muhammad, 313, the people, the conglomerate that fought with Prophet Muhammad, or, so Lashkar-e-Taiba, everything harks back to them being prepared for a war that is ideological. And when an enemy does that, you have to be prepared that the enemy will never be defeated. It can at best be kept on leash. The case in point is Taliban. I mean, they were bombed to Stone Age. And what is the result now? They are the ones governing Afghanistan. So we have to be ready with what we want, how we want to defend ourselves. That is more important than what Pakistan or the world perceives Pakistan as.
Absolutely.